Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Companies in the XRP ecosystem are coming up with interesting ways to generate yield in the XRP ecosystem, and I have two stories that touch on just that in this latest Moon Lambo hot jam, starting with this one from the Crypto Basic. And man, headlines about this particular development have been coming every now and then over the last several months. So here's the latest. Vivo Power deepens ties with XRP, kicks off $30 million XRP Treasury yield strategy. And then there's also this one. Amplify files for first XRP income ETF with options strategy. So as it turns out, it's not just you and I, crazy people hanging out on the Webernets and the XRP community that think that XRP makes sense. No. It's some of the most wealthy and successful individuals and businesses that also think that. And I'm telling you, people the world over agree. There's a reason that XRP is one of only 3 coins ever created that has always been in the top 10 coins by market cap for its entire existence. And those 3 would be Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP. That's it. And it could not be more obvious. I will continue to scream this on my channel. To anyone who will listen, it could not be more obvious that XRP is an early winner of the crypto space. It's not a will XRP win. No, it already happened. It's done. We don't have to worry about that. It's just a question of to what degree will XRP continue to dominate. And if you're looking for that life-changing wealth for this market cycle as it pertains to that, there's still the question of when's it finally going to pop and have that final euphoric blow-off top, which I still firmly believe is coming, and how high is it going to go? But we don't have to worry about whether or not XRP will make it. It's done. It's been around for literally, it's existed over 13 years. If you can't say it made it after 13 years, then when can you? I think it's safe to say we're fine. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, into this first story now. Vivo Power, they've been in the news within the XRP community for over 4 months now, and here's the first glimpse into what they were doing that we got. There's a headline here from CoinDesk, May 28th, 2025, this year. Vivo Power raises $121 million to launch XRP Treasury strategy with Saudi royal backing. Now, this one was badass. And I remember, I think that was the week we got, I think, 3 publicly traded companies like right in a row, maybe even the same day. I can't remember. It was very quickly, though. Just announcing that they were launching XRP Treasury reserve assets. After we were told for years XRP was going to zero. It's fallen out of the top 10. It's going to zero. It's only Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. And then here we have all these publicly traded companies that decide to start holding XRP for the long haul. Long term, folks. So if you think you're late if you're brand new, well, I'll just tell you this. These publicly traded companies, they don't think they're late. They think this is a great time to be buying XRP. So anyway, I'm not going to read this whole article, but I want to make sure that you know this because this is cool as hell. Vivo Power International, a NASDAQ-listed energy company, said on Wednesday it has entered into an agreement for a $121 million private share placement fund to pivot to digital asset treasury, focusing on XRP, the 4th largest cryptocurrency by market cap. And of course, it's number 3 now because this is back in May. The fundraising was led by a Saudi prince. I'm not even going to try and pronounce whatever the heck that is. That looks like the alphabet. I don't even know, man. Anyway, so that's a Saudi prince right there, a chairman of 11th Holding Company, investing $100 million, a spokesperson to the company told CoinDesk. And then do want to jump down to the bottom here. Take a look at this. Because it turns, so this is when we found out that Saudi royalty has been invested in XRP for like the better part of a decade. They just were very hush-hush about it. And they've been in crypto a long time too, broadly speaking, but XRP was a part of that. And so take a look at this. After reviewing a number of listed vehicles seeking to embrace a digital asset treasury model, we selected Vivo Power given its strategic focus on XRP and its objective to contribute to building out the XRP ledger ecosystem, the Saudi prince said in a statement in the press release and SEC filing. And here's another quote from the Saudi prince. "We have been investors in the digital asset sector for a decade and have been long-term holders of XRP. So folks, again, if you think XRP makes sense, it's not just you, it's not just me. Saudi royalty as well. Just another example here. And then there was also this. I just wanted to mention this in case you hadn't heard this. This is from August 9th, so a few weeks back. Vivo Power shares jump 32% on $100 million Ripple buy plan to boost XRP Treasury. Look at this. This is they're taking this very seriously. Nasdaq-listed solar power company Vivo Power International saw its shares jump 32.12% to $5.10 on Friday after the company announced plans to purchase $100 million worth of privately held Ripple Labs shares, expanding its XRP-focused digital asset treasury strategy. So they're all in, folks. They don't think this is going to be ending anytime soon. This is, and it's not a short-term thing for them. They're really thinking long-term, more like years and decades, no doubt. And so here's the latest development from them. Vivo Power deepens ties with XRP, kicks off $30 million XRP treasury yield strategy. Vivo Power International PLC, a publicly traded company, is making bold moves into the world of digital assets with a particular focus on the XRP ledger and Ripple. The firm has announced a series of initiatives that position XRP at the heart of its evolving treasury strategy. Folks, they could have picked Bitcoin to be at the heart of their evolving treasury strategy, but they did not. They recognize that XRP is a far greater opportunity. How about that? And they're not the only ones. There are tons of firms that only are holding XRP. Anyway, piece continues. In partnership with Doppler Finance, Vivo Power has deployed $30 million worth of XRP into yield-generating programs built on the XRP ledger. The plan is to use the XRP ledger's yield services to reinvest earnings directly back into its reserves, creating a compounding loop. This approach not only leverages XRP's speed and efficiency, but also signals a growing trend of corporate entities experimenting with blockchain-native yield mechanisms. This deployment is part of Vivo Power's broader transformation into a $200 million XRP-focused digital treasury enterprise. The company, traditionally known for energy solutions and sustainability projects, is shifting gears toward integrating crypto-driven financial infrastructure by integrating its treasury into XRP, not Bitcoin. Vivo Power aims to diversify assets, tap into blockchain efficiencies, and align itself with the growing institutional adoption of tokenized finance. So you do see that directionally, where's everything going? Upward. Upward and onward. Better and better and better. You keep seeing more and more companies announcing as time passes that they're jumping into the XRP ecosystem. And, having had a front row seat to all the news stories for almost 8 years at this point, I have to tell you, the amount of actual adoption, all these developments, the scale at which the news is breaking has never been greater in the history of XRP. Like it just hasn't. There's never been more positive news and actual developments and more companies adopting it for various use cases, including as a treasury reserve asset and for utility purposes, than right now. Ever since the election, it's just been gangbusters. It through the roof adoption. It keeps going one way, and there's no sign that it's going to slow down. So yeah, I think we picked a winner, folks. Here's another example. Amplify files for first XRP income ETF with option strategy. Asset manager Amplify Investments has submitted a proposal to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for launching the first XRP-based option income exchange-traded fund. The Illinois-based asset manager has filed to list the fund on the CBOE BZX exchange. The fund aims to track XRP's price and generate a regular income stream through a covered call options strategy. Simply put, it will layer a conservative income on top of crypto's volatility, funding monthly payouts via option sales. Market observers note that crypto funds using derivatives have historically fared better with regulators than those holding digital assets directly. And in fact, the filing arrives amid a wave of crypto ETF hopefuls and growing institutional interest in XRP following regulatory clarity in recent months. So folks, it's actually a pretty clever way that this is being structured. And I wanted to share with you this take from attorney Bill Morgan of the XRP community, because I don't think that enough people sufficiently appreciate the degree to which this is a vote of confidence in XRP and the XRP ledger. It's pretty big, actually. And so this was actually just from attorney Morgan this morning. And he wrote, "This is my take on the spot income XRP ETF application filed by Amplify this week and why it matters, if approved. This is an investment management firm that has launched more than 70 ETFs in the USA and has $12.6 billion worth of assets in its suite of ETFs. Why is this ETF significant? All the XRP ETFs are significant in terms of institutional adoption. What is interesting to me about this one is that the fund will use covered calls to earn monthly income, which will be attractive to investors who wish to earn yield as well as have exposure to XRP price moves. Yield plus XRP price exposure. The fact that such a product is being offered by an investment management firm with assets under management of such a value is significant. That's right, folks. It's not a fly-by-night entity. This is a successful and well-respected firm engaging in this." And then he says, "As I understand the product, it does not require Amplify to acquire and custody XRP itself, but provides for 80% of the portfolio to be of assets tied to XRP's value, such as options or derivatives. Of course, it still needs to be approved by the SEC." Yeah, and so that is correct. 80% of the fund's capital goes into XRP-linked instruments. That's true. And so these are not the actual token, but rather, ETPs, exchange-traded products. But they track XRP's spot price or similar derivatives, and then 20% is held in safer assets, what's perceived as, traditionally anyway, not that I'm saying that, traditionally safer assets like U.S. Treasuries or cash equivalents to help manage liquidity and risk. But yeah, so then the fund just sells covered call options on its XRP-linked holdings, and so typically out of the money calls, so like 5%, 5-10% above current market with weekly maturities. And so the premiums from these calls, that's what generates the monthly income for investors. So there is a real reason that this actually happens, and I think that's probably going to entice a good number of clients to head their way. That would be my suspicion. So again, like I said, this is all going one direction, folks. You're not seeing people jump into the XRP ecosystem and be like, "Oh, we made a mistake here and we're going to stop because we're idiots." You're not seeing that. You're seeing more and more adoption, as one would expect. Okay? There's a reason that XRP is number 3 in market cap out of tens of thousands of coins. It's not a fluke. It's because of the underlying fundamentals and the ecosystem itself, which has developed now for 13 freaking years. We made it, folks. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.